Ukraine is just eating away at all of their material. He's not going to be able to defend Russia unless he gets control of these gateways, and he has to do it now. He can't wait. They've only got men to do it now. And it's, Putin's playing a lot of peekaboo because he doesn't want to recruit white men out of Moscow or St. Petersburg because he's afraid there'll be a political revolution. So he's eating around at the edges of Russia, trying to get people to drop him into the meat grinder in Ukraine. But this idea that now Putin needs to move, it's now or never, was Zion's thing that I thought was fascinating. He has a geographic problem that he's trying to solve with a declining demographic solution. So he's running out. It's like you got to put out a fire and there's leaks in your fire hose and the well is almost dry and you need to put out this fire. If this fire doesn't get put out, you lose your house. And that's kind of, that was a take on the revanchism of Putin that I had not heard before. And Zion is, like I say, you've listened to him, you saw him on Rogan. He's brilliant. And so you listen to how he describes this, and politics are downstream of culture. And so I like to put things in my books that I think people should be thinking about. And my job is to entertain you. It's not to educate you. I want you to have toes in the sand, book in the hand, have a great thrill ride. But if you close one of my thrillers a little bit smarter, a couple of things that just snuck in by osmosis by reading the book, that's great. I mean, you don't even know that they got into your head and yet they're there. And you're like, I read a book and said this about Russia. That to me, if I entertain you, I've done my job as an author. If you close one of my books smarter, I've done my job as an American, because I think it's important that we all kind of know what's going on in the world. You don't have to be an expert, and I don't have to stand on a soapbox and preach at you, but I think some of these issues are exciting, especially when you're dealing with an espionage thriller. You could make everything up, but so much of what's happening in the real world is just there, and it's so fascinating. Why wouldn't you want to use it? So that's kind of my approach with this stuff.
Yeah, I took a lot of notes. I earmarked so many pages in the book as I was reading, because I was like, want to ask him about that one. I totally forgot about the 9 gates thing, which I think is huge when it comes to the larger strategy of things. Like, people don't think about that. People think Putin's just protecting Moscow. He's protecting such a vulnerability that we don't understand how vulnerable it really is. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I had forgotten about that. And that's crazy.
It explains, why he went into Chechnya. I mean, all of this, when you look at it as there are 9 gates into Russia, and you need to control all 9 gates. And after World War II, they did control. The Soviets controlled all 9 gates. So if you leave any gate open, that's the way your enemy is going to come in. Of course, he wants to control all 9 gates. I'm not saying that's okay, but it explains why he's so aggressive and expansionist and all this kind of stuff. He's not in Ukraine just because he wants to be in Ukraine. Ukraine is a stepping stone towards something else where he needs, and it's also why Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia are terrified, and so are the Poles. Because after Ukraine, the next step's going to be Poland.